Hey there. Let's talk about Mark Carney's big, beautiful budget and Pierre Poilievre's terrible, very bad week.
We get to see the maple trees, maple sugar and the maple leaves. We got the biggest wheat fields growing tall. In Canada, where we see the reversing falls. In Canada, we get to see them all.
G'day, eh? Last week, Prime Minister Carney and the Liberals tabled their budget, which has now survived the first of two confidence votes and is on its way to passing the vote on November 17th when Parliament returns from its Remembrance Day break. As is, the budget includes spending that could cause an historic $78 billion deficit. And this is the first real test for the minority Liberal government, and its failure to pass could have triggered an election by Christmas.
So the budget came out on Tuesday. It's Prime Minister Carney's first budget. So what happens is the party presents the bill on the floor, then the opposition party, which is Poilievre's, they get to put forth an amendment, and then they vote on the amendment. They get to take out what they want, voice their opinion on what they don't want, what they won't vote for, blah, blah, blah. In all this kerfuffle, it seems that Mr. Pierre Poilievre forgot to put in his amendment to the budget. He didn't put one on the floor. And I think that's really stupid, or he's just incompetent. So he didn't seem to mind taking up 25 minutes on the floor to bitch and moan about how horrible the budget is. And they're not going to lower prices on food, and they're not going to lower housing costs, and they're not going to build more homes, because he always has the negative. Canada's broken. Canada's broken. Well, Canada's not broken. And all this horrible things that should be in the bill. Well, he didn't put forth an amendment to get voted on, because I think he knows it'd be voted down. So anyway, if nobody votes for this bill, there can be a no confidence vote on the floor, and the Prime Minister has to call another election. I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, Poilievre has got no game.
Nobody wants that. But as it turns out, Carney's now just 2 seats away from a majority government after Pierre and his chinless House Leader Andrew Scheer failed to keep their party together with an internal revolt that caused 2 of their MPs to walk away, with rumors that there could be more to follow. The first to drop out was Chris d'Entremont of Nova Scotia, who says he was sick of the bully tactics employed by the party leadership under Skippy and Scheer, likening it to a frat house. D'Entremont was the last Conservative to hold a seat in Nova Scotia, and not only did he leave the party, he crossed the floor to join the Liberals.
Hill. Prime Minister Mark Carney's government revealed its plan to try and bolster Canada's economy with its first federal budget. Billions of new spending in there. The budget prioritizes infrastructure, productivity, and defense, with few new measures aimed at everyday Canadians. The government is looking to boost the economy, one the Bank of Canada says is weak, hammered by the U.S. tariff and trade uncertainty. But it all comes at a cost, with significant cuts to some government programs and the public service. We'll talk more about the substance of the budget a little bit later, but Budget 2025 was barely tabled when Nova Scotia Conservative MP Chris d'Entremont resigned from caucus, defecting to the Liberals in a stunning blow to Pierre Poilievre and his party. The huge move gives the Carney government one more vote to get this budget passed through Parliament and potentially avoid an election. You have sat as a Conservative politician, federally and provincially, for about 2 decades now. You were a provincial cabinet minister. After all that time, how do you explain to folks in your riding that actually you've changed your colors? You're a Liberal now.
Well, I mean, it's situational. We get elected to represent the best issues of our ridings as people come forward, and sometimes we have to make decisions that are hard and tough. And I felt that in this particular case, it was better to be a part of the government caucus than it was to be sitting in the opposition. And I'm hoping, as time goes on, that the constituents in Acadianapolis will understand that decision.
According to Politico, also circulating on the Hill was news that d'Entremont was facing widespread backlash. Police say the Nova Scotia politician and his office have faced death threats and harassment. This activity has been reported to the RCMP, and there is an open, ongoing investigation, a spokesperson for the Nova Scotia Royal Canadian Mounted Police told Politico. The next blow to come was on Thursday afternoon when Marc Genereux of Alberta announced that he planned to quit politics altogether. The news blew up just moments before a House vote on a Conservative motion aimed at toppling Carney's government. Genereux did not take part in the vote, which didn't pass.
Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre has lost another caucus member, just as Carney's government's first budget is facing confidence votes. MP Matt Genereux says he is resigning from the House of Commons. Genereux has represented the Alberta riding of Edmonton Riverbend for a decade, and he won his 4th straight election there 6 months ago.
I cannot recall another time where an MP stepped down, but the rationale and the reasoning kept migrating for the hours following the announcement. I have in front of me kind of 3 different things. The original resignation letter, which came out just as MPs were voting in the House of Commons on the first of several confidence votes to do with the budget. There are a couple of opposition amendments last night, today, and then the official kind of final vote on the budget is to come after the parliamentary break week. Curious timing to sort of drop your resignation letter just right then. The original letter does not mention Pierre Poilievre. It talks about going to the opposition whip to inform him that he would resign. And it makes a specific mention, a specific request not to approach his family to talk to them at this time. So,
against bringing all those prices down. Both of these, those MPs that quit Poilievre, and believe me, they quit Poilievre, have been getting death threats for entertainment purposes only from some of the ass kissers in the back room in the caucus. Not to mention what they sent out to the riding. The RCMP have launched an investigation into some of the more particularly heinous death threats against the PM in Nova Scotia, his wife and his whole family. The MAGA Maple thugs are chasing these, I suppose, the guys like the Chaos Convoy that traveled across, the ones that all had the fuck Trump signs or fuck Trudeau signs and everything on the back of the car. You know, like, yeah. We have the same thing here. We got the pickup trucks with the 400 flags in the back. Yeah, we got all that shit.
Well, none of this bodes well for the pipsqueak, who undergoes a leadership review in January. Last spring, he not only lost the election, the general election, he lost his own seat in his riding in Ottawa to a newcomer. But he was returned to the leadership position after winning a special August election, where some poor bugger gave up his own seat for Pierre to get back into Parliament. And though the riding was a safe bet for a Conservative, he faced an incredible number of candidates competing to be on the ballot. There are over 200 names, I think I remember now.
A story involving a member of parliament from Alberta who has now officially resigned his seat in his riding. He had promised he would do this to make way for Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Damien Currick, representing the riding of Battle River Crowfoot. It's east of Calgary. Pierre Poilievre lost his riding in the general election back in earlier this year to a political rookie, a Liberal named Bruce Fanjoy. Prime Minister Carney has said he will call a by-election in that riding as soon as possible. So again, Damien Currick making it official. He has resigned his seat in that Alberta riding to make way for Pierre Poilievre. Just a quick note, that riding is very, very staunchly Conservative and has been for decades.
Andrew Scheer also accused Carney of using undemocratic means and coercion, but Carney's openly acknowledged that he's recruiting from other parties. My view is, always, I will talk to anyone, he said last week. According to the National Post, Genereux was also considering switching ranks to the Liberals and even met with Carney recently, multiple sources told the Post.
In the last election, Canadians elected a minority government. They wanted a strong opposition to hold Mark Carney to account. Mark Carney did not receive a majority mandate from Canadian voters, yet he's trying to cobble together a majority through undemocratic means with backroom deals and pressure tactics. The only rumors I've heard of intimidation and harassment are from Liberals badgering Conservatives in elevators and calling them at home. All of this is an attempt to distract from Mark Carney's first budget, a terrible budget that is being almost universally panned. I believe that Matt Genereux has had to make this decision known earlier because of these Liberal pressure tactics that I mentioned. I mean, he's been the victim of some of these Liberal source-fueled rumors. So.
Liberal House Leader McKinnon said that he has not interfered at all with these decisions. And according to Politico, Conservative MP Kelly Block, a cousin of Poilievre, told reporters, "We continue to be a strong team and strongly support our leader." Poilievre avoided journalists all week, though he showed up in Toronto on Friday where he projected confidence in a speech to business leaders. Poilievre used his speech to turn the focus back to the Liberal government's record and away from the political intrigue. We have the most resources in the world, but we can't get them to the markets, and the biggest market to which we get them has near monopoly on our most precious, and just in terms of dollar value, our biggest exports, oil and gas, he said. The obstacle? Our own government, he said, which is the reason why we don't have pipelines and more LNG plants on our coasts. Okay, Skippy. He has nothing but the same old shtick of slogans and MAGA-style tactics, blaming the Liberals and offering no good alternatives. And he conveniently overlooks the investments into Canada's future outlined in the budget, including infrastructure and productivity and competitiveness in the new marketplace, a significant increase in our defense spending, which has been overlooked for too long and matters more now than ever, affordable housing for Canadians, and more. Well, Carney's a strategist, while Poilievre is a one-trick rodeo cowboy, full of grievance and division. Carney's budget, an economy by Canadians for Canadians, explains here.
Spending less to invest more. Canada's new government is changing how government works, spending less on operations so we can invest more in Canada's future, creating high-paying careers, building our country, and growing our economy. Government itself must become much more productive by right-sizing, cutting red tape and wasteful spending, and adopting AI at scale. By doing so, we will focus on results and use scarce tax dollars to catalyze private investment. Budget 2025 introduces a new approach to fiscal discipline and strategic investment. Our ambitious savings plan means Canadians can count on their government to be more efficient in delivering services that matter, while reducing operational costs. In fact, we are slowing growth in direct program spending from 8% to under 1%. The government is introducing a capital budgeting framework to modernize our approach and deliver generational investments. This framework clearly distinguishes day-to-day operational spending from long-term investments that strengthen our economy, changing the architecture of government fiscal planning to deliver greater investment and growth for Canadians. Concurrently, the government has changed the budgetary cycle to fall budgets, supporting better planning for provinces and territories, municipalities, builders, and investors, and aligning with the construction season. Combined, these two changes mark a new era in how we plan and deliver, catalyzing generational investments that empower Canadians. We are also transforming how government works. A new Office of Digital Transformation will lead the adoption of AI and other new technologies across government. This, coupled with near-term procurement of made-in-Canada sovereign AI tools for the public service, means not just a more efficient government, but also a generational opportunity for our domestic innovators. The result is more taxpayer dollars will go toward nation-building infrastructure, clean energy, innovation, productivity, and less on day-to-day operating spending. This new discipline will allow us to protect social benefits. Right-sizing government is critical to realigning resources to enable generational investments that strengthen Canada's future.
Well, as far as Pipsqueak Pierre and his future, he's lived his whole life with one ambition, and he's blown it now. But YouTuber Wrong Enough to Know Better lays it out really well here.
The Conservative Party isn't cracking anymore. It's collapsing past the point of leadership. Now he's in triage mode. And this is where the numbers start to matter, because 2 MPs leaving doesn't just hurt optics. It shifts the balance of power inside his own caucus. Moderates who were nervous before are now openly talking about moving on. For the first time, senior voices inside the party have called his leadership dysfunctional. That word alone, dysfunctional, changes everything. It means Pierre's not seen as strong or even stubborn. He's seen as broken. And once a leader looks broken, the countdown begins. At this point, his chance of surviving January's review are nearly zero. He's not leading a party anymore. He's presiding over his party's disintegration.
In other news, in last week's territorial elections, the Yukon party won a resounding majority, and the NDP, New Democratic Party, won 6 seats and regained their official party status, ending a decade of Liberal government there. And Yukon party leader Curry Dixon campaigned on building houses and lowering energy costs and updating mining regulations and health services. The Liberal Party has failed a lot of our northern territories in many ways. So it'll be interesting to see how he votes on the budget when Parliament returns from the Remembrance Day break.
Yukon Party won a majority government in last night's territorial election, ending nearly a decade of Liberal rule. Party leader Curry Dixon will become Yukon's 12th premier.
Yukoners chose to move on from the status quo. They chose a new path. They chose change. Yukoners chose a strong majority Yukon Party government.
Dixon served in the cabinet of former Premier Darryl Pozlowski a decade ago. He's been the leader of the conservative-leaning party since 2020.
And speaking of Remembrance Day, before we go, I'd like to pay my respect to our Canadian Indigenous veterans who were honored across Canada on Saturday, to the thousands of First Nations and Métis and Inuit who have served and continue to serve in our Canadian Armed Forces. Miigwech.
A march through downtown Vancouver, ending with a moment of silence at Victory Square. Ginger Alec and her family traveled from Lillooet to be part of this year's ceremony, which falls on the 80th anniversary of World War II. Alec was only a baby when her father left to serve in the war.
Gave their lives to save us, give us our freedom. A lot of them didn't come back. I don't know if any of my family, I don't think any of my family didn't come back, but I know a lot of other people lost family over there.
Gina Edwards' great-great-uncle is buried at the Moro River Canadian War Cemetery in Italy.
Someone who belongs to us is not with us. And that's a huge sacrifice for Indigenous people because every day is a ceremony from the time you're born till the time you go back to the spirit world.
She says she's working with Ottawa to bring him home.
I think that it's really important for the government, the federal government, to really recognize what our Indigenous ancestors have done for this country.
Many Indigenous veterans weren't given the same benefits or recognition as their non-Indigenous peers, and for decades, Indigenous people who served were invisible in commemorative events. But one group is working to change that.
Having the mayor march with us, having Vancouver shut down the roads, having the Vancouver City Police support us, is very important to get recognized that it's not just us saying we're standing up for something that nobody else believes in.
That recognition bittersweet for some who wish their loved ones were around to witness it.
It actually brought tears to my eyes today thinking about him and what's happening today, that he could have been a part of it.
Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Hey. Yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.